I don't know, I really didn't have a lot of influences growing up. I think that maybe just the 80s in general were influencing me. I loved all the new wave and the culture of dye your hair green, wear crazy makeup, put on weird clothes that nobody would ever wear. And I think that really inspired me. I loved rebellion. You know, there's that old saying, I'm not gay, I'm new wave. It makes a lot of sense now because we were all in the closet, but everybody who was new wave and dressing freaky was a fag, you know? So I think that was my influence growing up, a lot of that. I had my big epiphany that being gay was all right when friends and I ran away from home at 16 years old. We ended up in Los Angeles, California. And some people we met there were like, we're going to Pride in San Francisco. Do you want to come with us? We're like, yeah, sure, let's go to Pride. We think it's going to be some street fair with some gays hanging out or whatever. We get there, we get out of the car, we walk a few blocks. All of a sudden I see this parade of thousands and thousands of gay people. I got goosebumps all over my body and my heart just dropped and my breath just speeded up, and it was like a kid in a candy store, or it was like finding out there was a God, or, you know, it was this big epiphany where it's like, oh my God, I'm not the only one and there are so many of us. It's normal, it's not abnormal, I'm not going to hell, oh my God. So that was my big moment where after that it was like, fuck you if you don't like me if I'm gay. I'm gonna call the San Francisco Gay Pride Army. Okay, if you're a faggot out there, you need to see some good gay movies. There's a really old movie that I saw with a friend of mine back in the 90s in New York called The Killing of Sister George. It's a lesbian murder movie, but you gotta see it just because it's so campy and out there, and it is definitely a gay iconic movie. You also, of course, have to see, Milk, which is the first mainstream political gay movie that really came out. Also, Paris is Burning. You must see that. And Wigstock the movie, because that's just, I'm in it, so you have to see it. And I think Transamerica. I think Transamerica is a good film to see, and Boys Don't Cry. And these are more mainstream movies. These are not underground culty films. I mean, there's a million of those that you should see. But as far as like more relatable films, I think that's a good list. Artists, influential artists. Like I've always loved photography. So Francesco Scavullo was amazing to me. His photography was beautiful and so homoerotic. And I always grew up loving him. And then, of course, Keith Haring art was very prominent in the gay community. And Kenny Scharf, I love so much. I think Vivienne Westwood was an iconic figure in the gay scene. And also, the recently lost Alexander McQueen. I think he was becoming a huge gay iconic artist. And are all of those people gone? No. I love music, and if anything's influenced me in my life, it's always been music. I've always been led throughout my life by music, no matter what emotional state I was in. And I think a lot of those artists that really touched me were artists that were true to who they were. There was amazing artists like David Bowie was awesome. I mean, he falls into that genre of people that were out there doing their own thing, I mean, he's not even gay. But to me, he was part of my gay world. And then, as cheesy as it sounds, Madonna. I love Madonna. She's, whether she's exploited the gays or whoever along her career, she's put us to the forefront of her art. And it's given a lot of sight to people about our sexuality. And I appreciate that, no matter if people felt it exploitive or not. I mean, it's part of the process of overcoming oppression is for people to first exploit you so they know you're there. And then, there's so many. I mean, so many musical people that I love. I mean, Courtney Love for her rebellion. I love Nina Hagen for her freakiness. And, a lot of the 80s artists I just really admired. Mark Almond, who I thought was like, really out there and gay, and his music was very sexual and homosexual. So I loved that. Books that I think these young gays, all gays, should look into is there's a book called Jane County, Man Enough to Be a Woman. You have to read that book because Jane is amazing. She lived in a punk rock, straight, hardcore world as a transgendered person, and that wasn't easy. So that's a definite must. I also feel that people should read the Marian Faithfull biography, which is very informative. Mark Allman has a great book called In Search of the Pleasure Palace. Got to read that. That's a really fun book of like erotic places all around. And of course, The Joy of Gay Sex. You know, I think if you're going to interview somebody, I think it should be some of the iconic people that have come out of, Sherry Vine and I have been friends since almost the beginning of our careers in New York. And I think a lot of people from those days have flourished into these amazing artists, gay artists. I mean, everyone from like Anthony and the Johnsons, to Kabuki Starshine, who's an amazing makeup artist, people of that nature that have just become bigger than life, Justin Vivian Bond. I really want to see these people get a lot more exposure and people know how brilliant and how hard they worked and basically came from a place where they were, not accepted by mainstream at all. They were performing in shitty little bars for like 20 people, and now, some doing Radio City Music Hall, traveling all over the world, and it's impressive. So I'd like to hear what they have to say about their life.
Now, for a lot of gay men, maybe in my generation and previous ones, maybe not so much now, there's two different kinds of fag, which is the Valley of the Dolls fag and the women fag.